Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. Today we're going to be covering Teen Titans. You know, since there was a Titans trailer that came out recently, some people are looking for Titans. And this story is going to be the one in which Beast Boy has finally had enough of Robin. And that leads to him kind of turning against the Teen Titans. It's part of the storyline that we've been covering. I'll put the link to the playlist down below, but I hope you enjoy Evil Beast Boy. After the fight against the future Tim Drake, the Teen Titans found themselves picking up the pieces of a broken Titans tower. But among the destroyed wreckage, Gar, Beast Boy, finds himself the one thing connecting him back to his family, an old half-burned photo. He looks at the photo and he thinks to himself that there was once a time when he was going by the name Changeling. But if there's one thing that holds true to that name, it's that nothing ever lasts in life. Starfire begins to move some of the debris out of the way, stating that it's going to take some time and heart, but they can come back from this. Gar tells her that he knows that she's a sun worshiper and all, but there's really no bright side to them losing their home. Even if they rebuild, why even bother? Starfire points over to one of her Zorka plants that survived the attack and says that something like a plant can still remain alive, then there is life, and with life, there is hope. Wally tells her, yeah, things have fallen apart before. Like how Damien fired me and then I came back, we always come back. Gar looks at the picture again and he tells everyone that he's sorry, but right now he's feeling like flying solo for a bit. Then he changes into a hawk and flies off. Meanwhile, over at the Golden Gate Bridge, a school bus full of people make their way to the school when one of the kids inside starts getting picked on. The young kid sits alone tinkering with his own devices when the school bully starts hitting him with spitballs across his glasses. As everyone starts to laugh at the kid, he pulls down his glasses and reveals lines of computer code running over his eyes. The kids get up and they walk to the front of the bus. And within a few seconds, the bus driver is thrown out the door and he swerves the bus over the edge. That bus begins to hit the barrier and it drives off with the kid hitting his head on the steering wheel, and then he's thrown out of the bus. Back with the Teen Titans, an alarm goes off at Damien's computer and he tells everyone that they got trouble. They gotta move out. Jackson jumps into the water and he starts to create a hard water construct ramp, giving Wally a straight shot at the bus to help slow it down. Raven teleports inside of the bus, trying to steer it down the ramp that Jackson and Wally are creating. And Wally tells her, don't worry, she's got this. Raven grips the steering wheel, telling him that she's not so sure. She doesn't even have a driver's license yet. And while the bus makes its way down to land, Starfire shoots by grabbing the child that had been thrown out, making sure that he safely lands. But while the Teen Titans save the children, Gar heads over to Hibernaclium Park to throw the first pitch of the Sacramento River Bats game. The coach tells Gar to make sure not to choke out there with all 50 people watching him. Gar tosses him his phone, telling him, just keep the camera steady. Need to make sure all of my fans get a good view of this. He steps out and the game announcer asks everyone to please welcome Yeast Boy! Gar sighs, telling them it's Beast Boy. And the catcher calls to him that no one really cares, loser. Just throw the ball already. Gar changes into a bull, telling him that he was gonna go easy, but he's got a better costume in his trunk. He then changes into an elephant and launches the ball, knocking the catcher into the wall. And then everyone begins to boo him. While the catcher's having his hand looked at, Gar begins to walk back to the locker room, telling him clearly he's not too much of a team player these days. As he sits down and looks at his picture, Gar hears a girl calling out to him when he quickly tells them to just leave him alone. The girl asks if he can't spare a minute for a fan, and Gar turns back telling her, fan? What? Diggity dog! As Gar turns into a puppy, he jumps at the green-haired girl and then phases through her. And before he can ask, she tells him that she should explain. First, her name is Joran. Second, he isn't the only one who likes to play make-believe, so she has a proposal for him, one that she hopes would be mutually beneficial. A short while later, on a pirate ship in the middle of the Moara Woods, outside of San Francisco, Gar looks around asking, what is this place? Joran tells him, welcome to Neverland. Other than living here, she works here with her lost boys. Joran leads Gar down the stairs, and Gar sees a room full of techies. Joran then goes on to explain that Wade here is living on a beach selling motorized surfboards that he designed. Kimmy over there was kicked out of school for developing an anti-bully repellent made out of skunk glands. Gar high-fives everyone, asking, what are you all, like a weirdo version of Silicon Valley? Joran laughs, telling him that they're just square pegs trying to live in a round hole world. They're misfits and outsiders just like him. She herself started out making remote-controlled puppets. Gar looks around and asks, where does he come in? And Joran says, well, she's been working on something special, and she holds out a small tube with an implant floating inside of it. Joran goes on stating that this is a device that she labeled Pixie, named after Tinkerbell's magic dust. It's the next step in BioWare technology. It's a VR implant that allows the user to live in many worlds at once. Joran then reaches out, touching Gar's hand, and as she does, she starts to change form into her original punky blonde self, stating that the Teen Titans don't support or understand him. Like him, her parents died when she was young. So what does he say? Want to be weirdos together? Meanwhile, over at the UCSF Medical Center, the Teen Titans wait in the hospital nearby to hear the results on the kids. When Starfire asks what about him, the doctor says he'll be fine. However, they had to remove a small implant from the boy's dural matter between his frontal lobe and nasal cavity, the same implant that Jorn just gave Beast Boy. Damien takes the tube, stating that it appears that he was outfitted with some sort of bleeding-edge brain implant. Starfire says, wouldn't that be cutting edge? Damien tells her no. The difference between cutting edge and bleeding edge is that the bleeding edge will kill you. Back at Neverland, Joran asks, well, she wants them to build something together. Gar looks at the implant thinking, change might be a good thing. His powers are awesome and all, but they can't help what he's struggling with on the inside. He then says, let's do it. Second star to the right and straight on till morning, right? She loads up the injector and hands it to Gar, telling him not to worry, it's perfectly safe. He places the injector over his nose and then he pulls the trigger. As Gar falls over, Joran asks if he's alright and he snaps back up with his eyes changing from green to purple, telling her that he feels good. Who needs the Teen Titans when he has her? Soon a world of possibilities begin to flash before Gar's eyes, and Joran begins yelling at Gar to snap out of it. When he blinks, he comes back to reality and she says that sometimes it's hard to return, isn't it? Gar takes out his phone, telling her that it was incredible. If only there was a way to share that experience with his fans, and Joran says that he can. Soon they'll be releasing Pixie to a limited market, and she wants him to be there at the launch. Invitations will be sent out to a very select few, and with them, they're going to make their dreams come true. Meanwhile, back at Titan's Tower, Wally tells Raven to try it now, and activates the controls, and the T-Jet fires up. Raven turns the jet off, stating that if only people could be fixed so easily, maybe things would be different between them. And Wally laughs, telling her, yeah, if only. She holds Wally's hand and a symbol appears, and then Wally asks what was that, and she tells him it's the Azarathian symbol for hope and patience. Be patient with her and maybe. Before the two could go on, Damien walks through, breaking the two up, asking if it's ready yet, and Wally says, other than a car wash, the T-Jet is operational. Damien scoffs, telling him that it's not ideal, but he needs to use the portable lab since the tower's facilities were destroyed. The device that was in the skull of that boy appears to be coming from a startup company called Neverland. The boy was a straight-A student with no behavioral problems in the past. One would go as far as to call him a model student. He was bullied terribly, so it's possible that he may have just snapped and that device was a synaptic connection to his frontal lobe. So it could be possible that he was being puppeted. No one has heard much about the company, and the only thing on the web is just rumors. After some digging, he was able to find out about an exclusive invitation from Neverland. It's time for the Teen Titans to go undercover. Later that night at the Neverland launch event, Gar looks out at the theater and says they've really packed this place, huh? Joran tells him it's because those people are sick of feeling alone, but there is something else. She's really hoping that he doesn't get mad that she went through his things. Joran pulls out the photo that Gar kept of his family, but rather than seeing it all burned and destroyed, he sees it fully restored. She says that she could see how much this meant to him, so she restored it using some image processing. Gar takes the photo, telling her, whoa! And Joran leans in, asking, do you miss them? He stares at the photo, stating, honestly, I don't remember them that well. It's more about what they represent, a better life than the one I have now, which is why I'm always changing my teams in appearance. Joran sighs, stating that she can relate to dissatisfaction. But as for her parents, she doesn't miss them at all. When her father was drunk, he would go after her with whatever he could in arm's reach, his fist, belt, lit cigarette, anything. The only way that she was able to survive was to escape, and her puppets were the way out. She loved them because it made her feel like she was in control. Just then, one of the other boys knocks on the door, stating that everything is ready, and Joran changes back into her green-haired form, telling him all right. Gar tells her to hang on a sec. She can't go out there pretending to be someone that she's not. They need to love her for who she is. Take her from the guy whose DNA is type Zoo. Joran pauses for a moment and then changes back, kissing Gar, telling him, okay then, let's go be weird and vulnerable together. Gar gallops out in the form of a stallion as Joran rides him. And the crowd cheers and claps. Joran hops off quietly, stating, see what they do? And then it turns to everyone, telling them thank you for coming and supporting their company. As they know, they are not one of the cool rich kids from Silicon Valley. They are the punky upstart. To demonstrate, she tied Beast Boy's implant into her holographic projector. This way, they'll be able to get a sense of what is possible with Pixie. Gar's eyes begin to light up, and the stage changes to a scene where Gar is fighting a fire-breathing dragon. Seconds later, it changes to Gar having a shootout with a bad guy, and then him battling aliens as a Green Lantern. Joran tells everyone whether they want to raid a dragon's horde, bring justice to the frontier, or know what it's like to be a hero, they can do so with Pixie. Everyone here tonight will receive a free Pixie, and with it, a syringe gun that will allow them to safely put the implant into themselves. All they have to do is put the nozzle into their nostril and pull the trigger. When Joran continues her speech, though, a batarang then shoots out from the back, grabbing Gar by the leg and pulling him back off stage. Damien says first he ditches the team, and now the next day you hook up with the enemy? Explain yourself! Gar changes into a crab, cutting the wires, asking, what are you talking about? Joran's my friend, and unlike you, she understands and respects me instead of treating me like a joke. Damien asks, would you rather be a joke or a pawn? That implant is a backdoor to mind control, even if this company has good intentions, which I'm guessing they don't. They are still biohacking their users. Joran pulls back the curtain asking if everything's okay back there, and both Damien and Gar shout, "No!" Gar begins to walk away, telling Damien that he's just jealous of people like him. He has to bully people because he has no friends. Starfire flies in, stating that that is not true. They are Damien's friends. And Jackson also says that they are Beast Boy's friends too. Joran pulls Gar away, stating that it's time for them all to leave. And Damien asks, "Where do you think you're going, freak?" Just then, Gar's body begins to grow and he changes into a giant gargoyle, letting out a bellowing growl. Gar starts wildly swinging at everyone and Wally tells him not to do it, but Damien says it's no use. He's under her spell. Joran tells Damien, he's not alone. Everyone here is now my puppets. Seconds later, Gar bursts out of the theater with Joran on his back, but before he can get too far, Damien throws another batarang, grabbing his leg. He is then pulled out of the theater as he shouts, "Give him back, Joran!" Gar swipes at his leg, cutting the wire, but before anyone can come to save him, the other Teen Titans have to deal with Joran's mind-controlled mob. As Damien falls, he lets out a loud whistle, and a moment later, Goliath swoops in, biting down and grabbing Damien by his cape. Damien asks, "What took you so long?" And Goliath grunts. And Damien says, "Stupid bat." Goliath grunts again, and Damien says, "Yes, let's go kick some ass." As Goliath flies over towards Gar, Damien shouts, asking Joran, "What are you doing?" And Joran yells back, "It's because of people like you. I've seen Gar's vlogs. You're nothing but a bully. Gar's a victim, just like Kid Flash, Raven, and Starfire." Damien tells her, "I don't need your judgment. I've made mistakes, but we've moved past them." Joran shouts, "The very existence of the Teen Titans is an ongoing hostage scenario. Gar's only stuck with you because he has Stockholm Syndrome. But that doesn't matter. Gar's done with the Teen Titans. He's now one of the Lost Boys." Gar swings his claws, tearing through a part of Goliath's wing. And just as Goliath starts to fly down, Damien throws a fistful of powder into Gar's face. Damien then calls out that he doesn't need to listen to her. He is still one of them whether he likes it or not. Back down on the street, the mob starts to surround everyone, and Starfire asks Wally, can't he jiggle those devices out of their heads like he jiggles through walls? Wally says, what? Are you talking about vibrating? Walls is one thing, a brain's another. I'm still kind of a junior varsity when it comes to the Speed Force thing. Raven asks, what happens if we leave them like this? The last few months, they talked a lot about fear and doubt. Remember that Azarethian symbol? Wally asks, the one for hope and patience? And Raven tells him that he needs to keep it in his heart, just as she will keep it in hers. Raven then kisses Wally and says that he keeps telling her that she should take risks, so there, she took a risk, now it's his turn. In a flash, Wally runs back, dropping all the implants on the ground, and he asks, like that? And Raven laughs, telling him, like that. Starfire then says that they help each other, and then they can accomplish anything. And Jackson yells, I will never get tired of Space Mom's inspirational sayings. Just then, Goliath comes crashing down as Damien calls out to him, and Raven grabs him out of the air, slowly setting him down. Damien then runs over to Goliath, telling him, you stupid bat! You better be okay! And Starfire asks what happened. Damien tells her that Jorn gave Gar something that he couldn't. And when Starfire asks what, Raven tells him, love. Back up at the sky, Damien's powder begins to short out Jorn's implant, and as he sneezes, Gar rapidly begins to change forms. Soon him and Jorn begin to fall to the river below, and as Gar coughs, he asks what happened. Gar then starts to rub his head, stating that he was in some sort of World War II flight simulation, and now his head's all messed up. Jorn tells him it's because Robin tried to kill him, and then Gar asks why would he do that? And Jorn says that there are two kinds of people in this world, Captain Hook's and Peter Pan's. Is there any doubt which one Robin is? Gar then says, why is she so angry? And Jorn tells him that she'll show him. She hits a button on the projector, and then a younger version of Jorn appears in a barn. She tells him that when she started building her puppets, it was at first a way for her to escape, and then she realized with puppets she could permanently escape. As the image fades, Gar says, look, he likes her a lot, but she's hurting other people. She has become like Captain Hook of her own story. Jorn looks up and the pirate ship base flies down, and she says that that's their ride. Time to sail to Neverland. The ship lands and she takes Gar's hand, and Gar can hear Damien scoff. He looks over and says that he hacked her VR program, didn't he? And Damien tells him her firewall was easily defeated. Just then, a projection of the pirate ship fades, and in its place is the T-Jet. Jorn looks out the window and says, second star to the right and straight till morning. The next day, Gar visits Jorn in the Fresh Start Juvenile Detention Center, but Jorn's reaction to his visit is less than desired. She was tricked. She was forced to see an image that didn't exist to get picked up. She stares for a moment and then smiles, reaching back and touching the window. As the day goes on, the Teen Titans have a picnic down at the beach, and Gar thinks to himself that even though they may have their differences, these are his friends. And with these friends, they're in it together, no matter what comes their way, including Brainiac. And there you have it. The Teen Titans are together again, only to be disbanded. So make sure you subscribe to find out how that's going to happen, because that is the next video for the Teen Titans that we'll be putting out very soon. Subscribe right here to Comicstorian. Don't forget to smash that like button. Smash it. Why do people say that on YouTube? Why do we say like smash the like button? I just picture somebody like punching their computer screen, and that's not good. That's not good for anybody. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time.